The old campsite was abandoned for a reason. Emily was dead quiet. She was standing a few feet away from us, staring at the tree line again with this blank, tight expression. Greg was trying to stay upbeat. "We still have water, right? We can make it till morning, hike back to the car." But we all knew it wasn't just the food. It was who took it, and how close they had to be. Katie pulled me aside when the others were trying to boil the last of the coffee. "I don't like this. I think we need to leave. Now. Screw the gear. Screw the hike, we grab our stuff and go. We can make it to the car before nightfall." I nodded. I was already thinking it. But we had one problem. Emily wasn't moving. She just kept staring into the woods, toward a dense cluster of trees to the east. She was pale. Her lips looked cracked. I asked her if she was okay, and she said something like, "He's still hungry." I froze. "What?" She blinked, as if just realizing I was talking to her. "What?" she repeated, like she didn't hear what she just said. We packed fast, stuffed what was left into the backpacks, rolled up the tents half-assed. We left behind the bear canister, the extra boots, even Tucker's new solar charger. We just wanted out. The hike back felt longer than it should have. None of us spoke. The sun was blinding, and the air felt thick, heavy, like we were wading through it. My legs were shaking, and not just from exertion. And then we saw him. At first, I thought it was just a dead tree off the trail, crooked and gray. But then it moved. About 30 yards ahead, half hidden behind a boulder. A figure. Skinny, tall, shirtless. Just standing there, motionless. I stopped walking. The others bumped into me one by one, until we were all frozen. "He's not wearing shoes," Katie whispered. I hadn't even noticed. But she was right, bare feet, covered in dirt. His skin was pale, sunburnt in patches. Then he smiled. Not wide, not big, just this slight, crooked twitch of the lips that made my stomach drop. Tucker stepped forward. "Hey, man, you okay?" No response. Emily made a noise, a kind of whimper, and turned around. She started walking back up the trail. "Emily, no! What the hell are you?" Greg chased after her. Katie and I hesitated, but Tucker turned to us. "Don't follow them. Just keep going." I didn't want to split up. Every horror story starts with that. But we panicked. We thought maybe if we just kept going, made it to the car, we could drive down to a ranger station and get help. We never found the trailhead. I know how that sounds, but we never reached it. We were sure we were following the same path. But after hours of hiking, we wound up in a place we didn't recognize. A clearing, wide and circular, almost too perfect. And in the center was the solo stove. Our missing stove, sitting right in the grass, clean, polished, like someone had placed it there to be found. Katie screamed. Just a raw, cracking scream. I grabbed her and yanked her back. And that's when we noticed the carvings. All around the trees, symbols, lines, circles, shapes scratched deep into the bark. I swear one of them looked like a human eye slid open. I looked down at the stove again. There was something inside. A photo, burned at the edges. It was us. From the first night, sitting around the fire, blurry but visible. Smiling, laughing, taken from the trees. That's when we heard the first sound. Not footsteps, laughter, but not like someone telling a joke. Not joyful. It was mocking. A dry, croaking laugh, like someone trying to imitate what a laugh is supposed to sound like. Katie started crying. I grabbed the hatchet from my bag, turned in circles, scanning the woods. We couldn't see him, but we knew he was there, watching, close, and we were trapped. I don't even know how long we stood there, just frozen, surrounded by those carved trees, staring down at that photo like it was proof we were already dead. That mocking laugh came again, closer this time. It echoed weird, not natural, like it was bouncing off trees that shouldn't have echoed at all. Katie was shaking so hard I could hear her teeth clicking. I grabbed her hand and pulled her away from the stove. I didn't look back. I couldn't. Every part of my body told me, if you look back, you'll see something you won't be able to unsee. Something that'll follow you even if you make it out. We kept moving. No trail, no direction. Just blindly pushing through the trees. I could hear branches snapping behind us, fast and deliberate. Not random, not animal, like someone was walking just a few steps behind. On purpose. We ran. Katie tripped once, landed hard on her side. I dragged her up and didn't stop. The woods didn't even look the same anymore. There was moss on trees that hadn't been there earlier, weird scratch marks on the rocks. At one point, we passed a tree with a shoelace nailed into it. Just nailed. One lace. Who does that? Eventually, we came across what looked like an old service road. Just this narrow, overgrown strip of dirt and gravel. We followed it, not knowing where it went. We didn't care. That's when we heard a voice. "Hey, you guys okay?" It was a man, maybe late 40s. Beard, flannel, baseball cap. Had a small pack on his shoulders. He looked like one of those solo hikers who just likes getting off the grid. We froze. "Whoa, sorry," he said, raising his hands. "Didn't mean to scare you. I saw you running. You guys lost?" I looked at Katie. She looked at me. And for a second, I felt this wave of relief. Like maybe it was over. Maybe it was just some insane coincidence. And we were about to get help. He offered us water. Told us there was a hunting cabin about a mile down the road where he'd been staying for a couple nights. Said we could rest there, use his GPS to find our way back to the parking lot. I wanted to believe him. I really did, but something was off. He never asked what we were running from. Even after we told him we were being followed, after we showed him the photo we found in the stove, he just kept nodding, like he already knew. Not shocked, not confused, like he was waiting for us to bring it up. We followed him anyway. We were exhausted. I had a migraine so bad I thought I might pass out. Katie had a cut on her hand that was bleeding through the bandage. The cabin was real, old, wooden, probably 12x12. One room, wood stove, cot, dusty lantern on a table. No electricity. Smelled like mildew and something else. Metallic. He told us to sit and rest while he got something from outside. I should have stopped him. Should have checked the goddamn door. Katie was sitting on the cot, her head in her hands. I walked to the table, picked up the lantern. There were carvings on it. The same kind of symbols we saw in the clearing. Circles, lines, scratches that didn't look decorative, they looked obsessive. I opened the drawer below it. Inside were photos. More photos. Some old, some newer. People around fires, sleeping in tents. Close-ups of faces, some taken from inside tents while they were sleeping. And at the bottom of the stack, a photo of us. Again. From that morning, Katie pouring coffee, me crouched near the fire pit, Greg flipping the tent fly. My hands went ice cold. "Katie," I whispered, "we need to leave. Now." She looked up, dazed. Her lips were grayish. I think she was going into shock. I grabbed her arm and pulled her toward the door. but it wouldn't open. The lock had been bolted from the outside. That son of a bitch had locked us in. I slammed my shoulder against it. Nothing. The walls were solid, thick logs, no windows. The only light came from the cracks in the doorframe. That's when I heard it again, that laughter. But this time, it was coming from right outside. Different voice. Higher. Like a woman. But just as wrong. Just as hollow. Katie backed away into the corner of the room. What do they want? She kept whispering, over and over. What do they want? What do they want? What do they want? I found an axe propped up near the stove. Old and rusted, but heavy. I raised it and slammed it against the door hinge. 1 hit. 2. 3. Wood splintering. Outside, the laughter stopped. Silence. Then something hit the other side of the door. Hard. Once. Twice. The whole cabin shook. A sound like nails dragging down the wood. Slow. Deliberate. Then a voice. Low and crackling. You left the others behind. I froze. No one had said that out loud. Not me. Not Katie. But it was true. Emily and Greg. We left them behind. And now someone or something knew it. I smashed the door one more time, and it burst open. Sunlight hit me like a punch. We ran. No plan, no direction. Just raw terror propelling our bodies forward. We didn't stop until it was dark again. We didn't see him, but we heard him every time we paused to breathe. A twig snapping, breath just behind us. That fucking laugh. We weren't alone, and we weren't being hunted for sport. This was personal. We didn't sleep. We didn't even sit. We just stood there, in the dark, holding each other like scared kids at the edge of a nightmare. Every sound felt like it was meant for us. Leaves crackling, wind through branches. The occasional snapping of a twig that didn't match the rhythm of nature. We kept waiting for that voice again, the one that somehow knew things. Katie was trembling uncontrollably. Her lips were dry and split. At some point in the night, she whispered, "I think he's in my head." I didn't know what that meant, but she meant it. She wasn't being dramatic. She looked haunted. We moved again just before dawn, trying to find higher ground. I remembered from the topo map that there was a ridgeline somewhere north of our original camp if we could find it. Maybe we'd get a signal. Just one goddamn bar. That's all we needed. We kept moving uphill. Katie was starting to limp. Her ankle had probably rolled at some point during the run from the cabin. We had no food, barely any water, and the last energy bar in my pack had mold on it. The sun didn't help. It just made us feel exposed, like something could watch us more easily now. Around midday, we found something. Not what we were hoping for. It was a campsite, but not ours. 2 tents, flattened. Not like they'd collapsed, like they'd been stomped down. Poles snapped. Fabric shredded. There was a backpack torn open, gear scattered around. I saw a sock nailed to a tree, just like the shoelace, but no people. No blood. No names. No noches. Whoever had camped here was gone. Katie sat down, trying not to cry. I was already numb, but something about the silence here felt worse than before. Like this was a place where something happened, and the air still remembered. I picked up a crumpled trail map from the ground. It had a single word scratched into it. Not written. Scratched. Like with a knife. Feed. That's when I told Katie what I'd seen that second night. The thing in the woods. How it stood up. How it watched us from behind the trees. And she told me something too. Something that made my stomach turn inside out. She said she hadn't just seen the photos. She'd had dreams about them before we found the first one. Dreams of someone crawling into our tent, leaning over us, taking pictures, whispering things she couldn't quite remember, words that didn't sound like words. She said she thought it was stress or paranoia, but now she thought it was something else. "I don't think it wants to kill us," she said, voice hoarse. "I think it wants to make us stay." We left the shredded camp behind, kept moving, kept climbing. I started marking trees as we went, tiny slashes with my knife so we'd know if we were going in circles. By late afternoon, we reached a rocky bluff. No trail, but a view, an actual view. We could see the forest stretch out in all directions. For the first time in what felt like days, there was distance between us and the trees. And then my phone buzzed. I almost dropped it. One bar. Faint. But there. I pulled up the compass app. Useless. I tried Google Maps. Spinning endlessly. But the blue dot was near a logging road. It had to be close. We started to cheer. Just a little. Just a flicker of hope. And then Katie stopped. "Look," she said, "way down below, at the edge of the tree line, a figure was walking. It was him. But he wasn't alone. There were others. 5, 6, maybe more. All moving weird. Staggered. Like their limbs weren't working right. Some crawling. Some limping. I raised my phone to take a photo. The screen glitched, flickered, died. Battery gone. I swore under my breath. Katie backed up, eyes wide. "We need to get down from here. They know where we are." We turned. Started down the bluff, toward the direction the map had shown. But something caught my eye. Just before we slipped back into the trees. A person at the top of the bluff, where we'd just been standing. Just standing. Still. Watching us leave. Only, we hadn't passed them. We would have seen them. They had just appeared, wearing Emily's hoodie. I didn't tell Katie. I couldn't. She was barely hanging on. We ran. Branches whipped our faces, rocks tore at our shoes. Katie was sobbing openly now, saying, "It's not them, it's not them," over and over. The woods started changing again. Trees closer together, bark darker, roots like veins pulsing through the soil. I swear the air felt wet. We saw light ahead. Not sunlight. Electric light. A trailer, run down. Generator humming beside it. Metal door. One grimy window. We didn't think. We ran straight to it and pounded on the door. Someone opened it. A woman. Maybe 60s. Wild eyes. Hair tied back in a filthy bandana. She looked like she hadn't seen people in a year. She didn't say hello. Didn't ask what happened. She just said, "You shouldn't have stopped." Then she slammed the door shut again. We stood there, blinking at the rusted trailer door like it had just swallowed our last chance. The generator buzzed beside us, giving off a faint warmth, but the air felt colder now. Katie started knocking again, harder this time. "Please, please, we need help." Nothing. I was about to start yelling when I heard the click. A lock turning. The door creaked open just an inch. Enough for the woman's bloodshot eye to look out at us. "I said you shouldn't have stopped," she whispered again. "But you're here now, so you better shut the hell up and come inside before they hear you." We didn't hesitate. She pulled the door open just enough for us to squeeze through, then slammed it shut and bolted 3 separate locks behind us. Inside, the trailer was hot, muggy, like the heat had nowhere to go. Everything reeked of oil, sweat, and something vaguely like rot. It was lined with books, maps, boxes of canned food, a tiny gas stove, and a mess of rope and tools spread across the tiny table. Katie collapsed onto the floor, cradling her swollen ankle. I just stood there, panting, staring at the old woman. She was wearing an oversized flannel shirt and military pants tucked into worn boots. Her hands were stained with grease. She looked like someone who'd been surviving, not living. I finally managed to ask, "Who are you?" She didn't answer. She went to the tiny sink, poured some water into a rusted pot, and dropped a handful of crushed leaves in. The stove clicked on with a hiss. "You two saw him," she said, voice flat. "Didn't you?" Katie looked up. "The man in the woods?" The woman snorted. "Man, that's cute." I stepped forward. "What the hell is he?" She stirred the pot with the end of a screwdriver. "Used to be a man, maybe. Long time ago. Now he's something else. Something that feeds." That word again. Feed. Carved into trees, scratched into maps, whispered in dreams. "He finds campers," she went on. "Only the isolated ones. The ones who hike deep. The ones who won't be missed for a few days. He watches, waits. He doesn't just want bodies. He wants people broken." She looked at us. "That's why he plays games. Steals your gear. Takes your food. Scratches things into your tents while you sleep. Photographs you when you're unaware. He wants you starving. Desperate. Scared." Katie let out a choked sound. "We left our friends." The woman nodded slowly. "That's the first thing he does. Splits you up. Makes you believe it's your fault. Guilt is the final nail." I was still trying to process what she was saying. "What happens when he gets you?" The woman didn't speak. She just walked over to the far corner of the trailer and opened a cabinet. Pulled something out. A Polaroid camera. "Found this outside my trailer 3 weeks ago." She handed me a photo. It was Emily, standing near a tree, her face blurry, mouth open in what looked like a scream, but her eyes, they were just empty, blank, like she wasn't there anymore. Katie whimpered and curled in tighter on herself. The woman sat down. "He doesn't kill people like you'd think. Not quick. He empties them, bit by bit, until they're just husks. Then he uses them." I looked at her. "Uses them how?" She didn't answer, but I already knew. We saw them, crawling through the trees, wearing our friends' clothes, twisting in ways no one should. That laugh wasn't just him. It was them too. I asked the woman, "How long have you been out here?" She didn't look up. "Since 3. Lost my brother on a hiking trip. Never found him. I stayed, learned, watched. This thing, it's older than any of us. And it's hungry, always." The pot started to boil. The smell was strong, bitter. She handed Katie a mug. "Drink. It'll help keep the dreams away." Katie hesitated. "What's in it?" "Nothing that'll kill you faster than he will." She drank it, hands shaking. The woman turned to me. "You want to live? You get out of these woods before sundown. Don't stop. Don't speak to anyone. And don't follow the voices." "What voices?" I asked. She looked straight into me. "The ones that sound like people you love." Something thudded against the side of the trailer. All 3 of us froze. Another thud. Then something scraped along the metal, long, deliberate. Nails or bone or teeth. I don't know. The woman moved to the window, slowly pulled the curtain back just an inch. She sighed. "Too late. He's already here." The lights flickered. The generator made a coughing sound, then sputtered out. Total silence. Katie started crying. No, he can't be. We didn't stop. We didn't." The woman turned to us, voice low, eyes shining in the dark. "You should have never looked back." I reached for the door latch. I wasn't thinking. I just knew we had to move again. We couldn't be trapped. The woman grabbed my arm. "Listen to me. If you open that door, he gets in. But then, We heard the voice, faint, outside. Greg? Katie's head shot up. Katie, it's me. It sounded like Greg, but it wasn't. Katie, it's me. Please, open the door. It sounded like Greg, but wrong. Like someone was copying his voice from memory, using all the right notes, but none of the soul. Katie's eyes locked on the door. I could feel her leaning forward. Something primal kicked in, and I grabbed her wrist before she reached the handle. It's not him. I said it softly, but firm. Katie, look at me. That's not Greg. She hesitated. But then the voice came again, closer. Right outside the trailer now. Why'd you leave me, Katie? You let me die out here. Katie screamed and tried to lunge for the door, but the old woman was faster. She slammed her shoulder into Katie, knocking her back onto the floor hard. Don't you fucking listen to it, she barked. That thing out there, whatever's left of your friend, it's not a person anymore. It's a mask. The trailer groaned under pressure, like something was pressing against it from all sides. You could hear the weight of bodies scraping along the metal, whispering, scratching, and underneath it all, that laugh, low and breathy, like lungs filled with wet leaves. I grabbed the axe leaning by the door. We have to move. The woman shook her head. He wants you to run. He feeds when you run. He doesn't chase to catch you. He chases to break you. I don't care. I snapped. We stay here. We die. I turned to Katie. We're getting out, together. I don't care what it takes. She nodded slowly, dazed but with me now. The woman sighed. Then go fast. And don't go toward the road. He'll expect that. You follow the river. It runs west. Stick to it. Don't stop. She opened a rusted drawer and handed me a flare gun. Only one shot. I nodded. You coming with us? She smiled bitterly. Someone's gotta distract him. And before I could argue, before I could even thank her, she ripped open the door. The light burst in. And so did they. Shapes. Twisted silhouettes of people. Crawling. Shambling. Arms too long. Joints bent backwards. Their mouths were too wide, too happy. The laugh hit like a shockwave. Katie screamed. I fired the flare, knotted them up. The woods lit up like fire for just a second, bright enough to see one of them what used to be Emily, her face, frozen in a blank grin, eyes burned out. We ran, not down the trail, not toward the car, into the trees, through thorns, branches, roots that tried to trip us. The flare burned out behind us, taking the light with it. Behind us, the trailer roared. Screams. Metal ripping. He didn't look back. Katie was limping badly, but she kept pace. The sound of water got louder. The river. It was real. We reached the edge, stumbling over rocks. The current was fast but shallow. I made the call. We stepped in. The water soaked our jeans, numbed our legs. But we followed it. West. Always west. They didn't follow us into the river. I think maybe they couldn't. Or maybe he liked the chase better in the trees. Eventually, the woods thinned. And there it was, gravel. A road. And headlights. A jeep. Some local hunter. Or ranger. I don't even remember his name. Just the shock on his face when he saw us. He asked what happened. We didn't answer. Just got in the back. And kept breathing. We didn't report it. What would we say? That we were stalked by something that wears the people it kills? That in the Wind River Range, there's something out there that takes joy in unraveling human minds like string? We told the cops we got lost. The others were listed as missing. They never found the camp or the trailer. or the stove. Sometimes at night, I dream about the clearing again, about the symbols, about the photo inside the solo stove. Sometimes I swear I hear Greg's voice calling from the tree line. Soft, sad, you left me behind, but I don't answer. I don't stop. I don't look back. Because I know now, that's when it finds you, and it never stops feeding.